Hello everyone, we are back with another reaction video. If you're new here, welcome. If you're back, thank you for watching my content. If you did not know, if you're new here, you probably do not know, I do a lot of reaction videos on my channel, usually to like lists that people typically put out, and I react. My reactions are not always like 100% greatest commentary, because sometimes the lists are kind of out of my wheelhouse. I did one by the Times, I think maybe like a week and a half ago, and that one was a little out of my wheelhouse because I tend to skew a little bit towards more children's materials than adult materials. Not that I don't read adult stuff, I do read adult stuff, but I think my reading this year has primarily been children's, middle grade, picture books, young adult. It's what I do as a profession, and so naturally it's kind of seeping its way over this way. So I wanted to do a reaction to another best of list, except today we're going to be doing Publisher Weekly's list, which is interesting because I use Publishers Weekly as a resource when it comes to determining what books I select from my own library. They are a good review source. Kirkus is my top. Kirkus has always been my top. Kirkus will always be my top, but Publishers Weekly is another review source that I look to. And so Publishers Weekly does their best books. They actually do a summer read list, which I may start reacting to during the summer because I do my own summer reads list for my library, so it's interesting looking at the comparisons. And they also do a best of list. What I do like about their best of list is that they do include children's books because they have a late review where they consider it to be children's materials. Now when they say children's, this includes young adult materials as well, because it's looking at for ages 0 to 18, which is all considered to be children's, even though, you know, we have some crossover there with our teen audience. They don't like to be referred to as children, but for the sake of consistency, all of it is referred to as children's materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through their top 10 adult stuff, and then I'm going to go to the children's picks. I'm interested to see, I haven't looked at this, mind you. Whenever I do reactions to lists, I do not look at the list prior to actually reacting because it takes the fun out of it. Like, you get to see my on-camera live reactions to everything that I am seeing. So we're going to go through their adult list, which I'm at the homepage for their best books of 2023, and it looks like they just have a top 10 for the adult stuff, and then they have their children's picks. So we are going to go ahead and get started here and record my screen so that y'all can see here. Okay, so all the wonderful ads on here, but we have a note from the adult reviews director just talking a little bit about, oh, never mind. They do 150 best books of 2023. Okay, so they do a top 10. Got you. Okay, that makes sense. In addition, they have long lists in all the categories they regularly review in, as well as 50 outstanding works for children and teens. There's something for every reader. Go find your next favorite book now. I do like that. Okay, so we're going to click on, if it'll load for me, there we go, the top 10. Okay, so they have the biography of X, which is not one that I am familiar with. This is a biography about a fictional artist written by the artist's widow. It's an alternate history. Huh. Okay, so if you didn't know, I did a live show recently where I talked about some new releases that were coming out this month. And one of the books on that list was an alternate history, which is kind of like a new subgenre to me. And I find it very intriguing as a undergrad history major. This is my thing. I'm feeling this. Okay, The Country of the Blind. This is a memoir. It's combining memoir and cultural history. Rigorously researched and presented in sparkling prose, an extraordinary account of adapting to change. This is one that I've never seen. I hadn't seen the first one either, so that's two. I have a feeling that this is going to be a list that I'm not familiar with. Flee North, A Forgotten Hero, and The Fight for Freedom in Slavery's Borderland. Oh, no, this is one that, but it's an exhilarating narrative that reads like a thriller. Okay, let me find out Publishers Weekly is putting me on game here, because I had not heard of this one either. Child, let me make sure I'm in the right year. I'm in the right year. Like, I ain't never heard of this. This is wild. Oh, they have all the categories at the top. I'm bugging. We're gonna go through all the categories today. Fun, fun, fun. See, The Maniac. This is an oral history of scientists behind the 1945 nuclear bomb test. Not one that I'd be interested in. It seems as though their top 10 list, if I'm not mistaken here, seems to be primarily nonfiction. Yeah, this one, My Work. It's an ingenious approach to writing about pregnancy and new motherhood by mixing genres, poetry, literary criticism, and autofiction. Never heard of that one, and it's translated from Danish. Ordinary Notes by Christina Sharp. I've heard of this one. Have not read it though. Yes, 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 yes. One that I do need to pick up. Oh, I have heard of this one too. The Rediscovery of America, Native Peoples, and the Unmasking of U.S. History. Definitely one that I need to pick up relatively soon too, because in a time and era where I feel like the accurate history of the United States is being challenged in the classroom, it's very important, I think, for a lot of us to be educating, at least adults, educating themselves to be able to provide true history to younger generations that may not have the opportunity to get it anymore because of challenges in the classroom. Same Bed, Different Dreams. This is not one that I'm familiar with. But this seems like this is kind of a interesting look at Korea's government in exile. During the earlier 20th century Japanese occupation, what if it were still operating today? With a secret mission to reunite the peninsula. Wow. These are some good picks here. I'm currently reading this one. I'm very, look, there goes one. I'm currently reading The Talk. I actually was going to read this one for the Goodreads challenge graphic novel video that I did on my comics channel. And I did start reading this one, but I didn't get to finish it in time for the video. So, oh man, okay. Like, first of all, I'm already liking it. It's a graphic memoir. I'm already liking it. The artwork, so this has popped up honestly on a couple of lists, and this is being tagged as like one of the best graphic novels of 2023, so I'm excited to dive more into it. It is about his experience, Darren Bell, growing up biracial in LA. Yeah, and it's about the talk that a lot of Black parents have with their Black children. If anyone was wondering where that title came from. The Wren, this came up. So this is a Booker Prize winner. This also came up on, I believe, the Times when they did their top 100 books. I believe that this one also popped up as well. It's about a Dublin woman's adventurous but tortured sex life. Her mother and her mother's toxic late father. Interesting. Okay, so that is the top 10. Then they have fiction. Not surprised to see Asia Vice on here. I have this one on my TBR. I have an audiobook copy of this one. And like it says in the slide, I've heard it compared to Dickens. August Blue, this is not one that I am familiar with. A London Pianist and Former Child of Prodigy. Interesting, probably not one that will end up on my TBR. Bariloche. Correct me, I feel like it's just Bariloche. There's no accent over the E, but I still could be wrong. This is a translated work from Spanish. It takes place in Buenos Aires. And this was originally published in 1999. It goes to show like how long it takes for some works to be translated. Then we have Beyond the Door of No Return, which this has popped up on the Times list as well, and one that I still have not. Did this pop up on the Times list, or did this pop up in one of my lives? This popped up, I think, in one of my new release lives. That's what it is. Because it was translated from French, and it's about a main character who learns about her father's adventures in Senegal. And if you know anything about The Door of No Return and its relationship to slavery, this is one that I definitely had on my list to read. I haven't gotten to it yet though. Company, I haven't seen this one before. This is a debut collection. paints a portrait of a Black extended family set in Washington, D.C. So it's a short story collection. And then we have A Cowardly Woman No More. This is not one that I'm familiar with at all either. It's an office novel and a fairy tale meet at a banquet hall in rural Massachusetts. Interesting combination. Eastbound, not familiar from this one. This is a translated work from French as well. Then we have The Fraud by Zadie Smith. Of course, it's another Dickeness. I don't know how to say this. It's a sensational trial in Victoria, London. And this is Dickens is killed off in the beginning of this novel during a trial in Victoria, London. Interesting, very, very interesting. Zadie Smith, well-known name. Greek Lessons. Okay, so this is the same author of The Vegetarian. I don't know if I would read this because The Vegetarian is psychological horror, as it says here, and I tried reading it and I couldn't get into it, but this says that it deviates from it, and that it is a more subtle novel. I have some questions for you. I think everyone has pretty much seen this one as well. That was the big one this year. And one that I am dying to read, The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. I believe this popped up on the Times list as well. I feel like it popped up on the Times list. I could be wrong though. But I am excited to pick this one up by James McBride, The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. And then Jasmine Ward's new one, Let Us Descend, which I believe is historical fiction. Yeah, it's enslaved woman struggling to survive on a sugar plantation. Okay, Northwoods. I'm pretty sure this one also popped up on the Times list. There's a lot of crossover here. So this revolves around a colonial farmhouse in western Massachusetts. And it follows characters from mid-17th century to present day. Okay. Huh. The people who report more stress. Huh. This is one that I'm not familiar with, but this is a collection of short stories and explores the stressors and Latinx characters' lives. Interesting. Small worlds. Been meaning to get to this and haven't gotten to it. I really, really want to get to this one. Really want to get to that one. Terror Story, not familiar with this one. Let's see. It is about a woman with the power to alter space with her mind. Interesting. This is Salvaged. Haven't heard of this one either. This is another short story collection. And then This Other Eden by Paul Harding. This is a finalist. Was it a finalist for the Booker Prize? Yeah, it was longlisted. And it won the Pulitzer Prize this year. Hard-hitting books here. Tremor. Not familiar with this one. This is nested in this brilliant series of a Harvard professor's meditations on art, colonialism, and education. The Unsettled is one that I do want to pick up. I talked about this one in one of my live new releases. And this takes place in 1980s Philly, about a dwindling historical black town in Alabama. Interested in that one. Okay, let's move on to mystery and thriller. All the Sinners Bleed was on the Times list. We all know that this one is definitely on my list of books that I need to pick up. This was a Black Queen pick. Bright Young Women. Jessica Knoll. I think this one was a big one when it came out. It's inspired by the Ted Bundy murders. The Devil's Playground is one that I'm not familiar with. But this is a fictional horror flick is the foundation for this one. Interesting. And it seems to be kind of like a historical horror. The Eden Test. This was a swipe at monogamy. And I just feel like this is going to get twisted. The Eden Test, okay? Everybody Knows by Jordan Harper. This is an LA noir. Goodness gracious. Some of these just seem like a lot. Excavations. This is about the real life 1995 collapse of a Seoul department store. It's a crime novel. Then we have, I've heard of James Lee Burke before. This is Flags on You. This is set in 1863 Louisiana, and this is a Civil War thriller. Say less. I've never really been like keen on picking up James Lee Burke, but this just might do it for your girl. How can I help you? This is a library mystery thriller type of situation. This is a suspense story about a pair of employees at a library. A Most Agreeable Murder. This is not one that I'm familiar with, but it is a Jane Austen's ghost hangs over this ridiculously fun Regency era whodunit. I can get down with that though. I can. Oh my goodness. The Most Secret Memory of Men. This is a translated work from French, and this is a literary mystery about a Senegalese expat in Paris. Interesting. Strange Sally Diamond. Definitely know about, I think her name is Liz Nugent. I think you say Nugent. Is it Nugent or Nugent? Can never remember. Sorry y'all, I'm going kind of fast because we have a lot of categories here. Tell me what I am. This is not one that I'm familiar with, but okay, so this is a main character's sister dies, possibly at the hands of her abusive ex, and the main character wants access to her niece. Okay. I'm not gonna lie to you, the next category is poetry. Y'all, I don't read poetry that very often, so I can't really give you much commentary here. We have All Souls, From The Shared World, Suddenly We, and then the last one is To 2040. So if you're a poetry reader, those are their top books for poetry. Let's get to romance. The Art of Scandal by Regina Black. This is a debut about the black wife of a cheating white politician. I probably won't touch it. Just that line alone. Yeah. Not like, yeah. Just no for me. Every Duke Has His Day. I am familiar with Susan Enoch. I have not read Susan Enoch, which is of course Bringing Up Baby is the one that I was familiar with. But this is another one of her novels. And then Donna Hill's new book, I Am Aya, which I wanted to read but have not gotten to it. It's a mix of love, family drama, magical realism. A Shot in the Dark, this is not one. I'm familiar with Victoria Lee. Victoria Lee is known, I think, primarily for YA, but this one follows a one-night stand between a Jewish bisexual photographer and Wyatt Cole, a trans art world wonderkind. Wow. Okay. Interesting. I'd not heard of that one. To Heaven to Heist, of course, because it's by Sarah Desai. A lot of people were familiar with this one. I did not get to read it. Berkeley sent me a copy of it, but I didn't get the chance to pick it up. I tend to read more outside of what I read in the children's stuff. I do read romance quite a bit, but I tend to read more indie than traditionally published romance. So that's why I wouldn't have had a lot. We Could Be So Good, Cat Sebastian. I recently had someone I work with had read this one and really enjoyed it. I have read Cat Sebastian before, but I haven't read this one. I'm more familiar with their more like Regency era romances, but this one takes place during the 1950s, which I would be interested in checking out. Okay, go to the next one, which is SFF in horror. Chain Gang All Stars. I have this one in audio waiting for me to read. A lot of these books are on my TBR. There we go. Clearly I accomplished nothing in reading my TBR. The Circumference of the World. This is a mind-bending metafictional tale. It's a lot. Like Smoke, Like Light. That is a That is hard. This is a short story collection. I started reading Our Share of Night. It's a long book. I think the book itself is close to 700 pages, so the audiobook is very, very long, and I'm listening to it slowly. But I am enjoying the writing of this one so far. Some Desperate Glory. This is Tor.com. This one is interesting to me because the fascist ideology aspect of this one, I have heard of this one before. I'm not a big science fiction fantasy reader, mind you. But there are some things, because I watch creators who read science fiction fantasy, just because I keep trying to find like where to enter the genres, because it's just not my strongest area. And I really, really want to work on that in 2024. But I thought that this one was interesting because of the whole aspect of the fascist ideology. Like, how do you break somebody out of that? Interesting. Translation State. This is not one that I have heard of before at all. It's interesting. And then of course we have The Water Outlaws. I do want to read this one, but I feel like I was on hold for the audiobook at my library at one point, or on hold for the book itself. It's either or, and I just never got to it, which is unfortunate. This is a queer and furiously feminist Eat the Rich historical fantasy. I love Eat the Rich books because, child, I have never felt more poor in my life than now. Okay, like, it's rough out here in these streets. Stretching a dollar is real right now. Next, comics. Let's see how much Publishers Weekly is going to embarrass me in this. And they only have 4 books in this category. Okay, Blood of the Virgin, I have never heard of before. Never heard of this one. This is about underground filmmaking in the 1970s. Never heard of that. Impossible People, a completely average recovery story. Never heard of this one either. This is a memoir about Julia Wertz's time getting sober. Have heard of this one, Monica. I really do want to read this one. Haven't gotten to it yet. Actually, don't think my library owns a copy of this one, which is why I haven't read it yet, because I can't get my hands on a copy yet. But yes, I do want to read that one. And Roaming, I've seen this pop up on a couple of lists. This was another one that almost was a contender for me, because of the fact that it is one that I think a lot of people are familiar with. Mariko Tamaki. I don't know what I was to say. Mariko Tamaki. I've read a lot of her stuff in the past, and when this one released, I really wanted to get my hands on it. The issue, though, is the last time that these two did a book together, and it was a Caldecott winner. I believe it was the one summer book. I can't remember the name of it. Artwork absolutely gorgeous. I did not like the storytelling, and so this is where I get nervous with the pair. But I have read their work, especially Mariko Tamaki's work. Very huge fan. Almost read this one for my own video, but did not do it. Okay, so 2 out of 4, not bad. I mean, that I was familiar with. That works. Okay, this is nonfiction. America's Black Capital: How African Americans Remade Atlanta in the Shadow of Confederacy. Ooh, child, I need to get my hands on that. I haven't read that. I need to get my hands on that. The Art Thief, true story, love, crime, and a dangerous obsession. I haven't heard of this one. But this is about someone who stole more than 200 artworks from museums across Europe between 1994 and 2001. How, Sway? August Wilson's. So this is the biography of August Wilson. Wow. Yes, Fences. I did not know that there was a biography that came out about him this year. The Bathysphere. The Effects of Luminous Ocean Depths. Yeah, I don't do well with thinking about how deep the ocean is, so I probably wouldn't pick that up. I have seen this, Blackball. I didn't have any interest in reading it, but I did see it because I think it did get some good traction at my library, at least. Everything, Nothing, Someone, a memoir. Did not know about this one at all. Not familiar with that one. Gray areas, how the way, yes. I feel like I saw this come up at my own library, or talked about it in a live show, how the way we work perpetuates racism and what we can do to fix it. And it talks about racism in like the workplace, which, listen, The Great White Bard, How to Love Shakespeare While Talking About Race. Did not know that this was a thing. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Huh. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie to y'all. We're gonna do religion and lifestyle next. I'm probably not gonna provide much commentary for this, only because I'm not as well versed in religion and lifestyle. So we're gonna go through them. So we have The Half Known Life in Search of Paradise. How Far to the Promised Land, Our Black Family Story of Hope and Survival in the American South. Although I feel like I've heard this one before. Okay, I feel like I've heard of that one. I Felt the End Before It Came, Memoirs of an Ex-Queer Jehovah's Witness. That sounds very, very interesting. And then we have Why the Bible Began, an alternate history of scripture and its origin. It actually sounds really good too. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm usually not checking for religious text. Often when I'm doing my reading, not to say that I don't like it, it's just not a high emphasis on me. Same thing with lifestyle. Ed Mitchell's Barbecue, The Everlasting Meal Cookbook, More is More, Get Loose in the Kitchen, Sofre, Contemporary Approach to Classic Persian Cuisine. Please correct me on that because I know I'm saying that wrong. And then I'm not going to even try to butcher that. That is Greek. Not going to even try to butcher it. But Time Perfected Recipes from Greece's Grandmothers. Might not be a bad book for me to check out. That sounds good. Alright. On to the characters where I should be able to shine. I should have read, or at least heard of, all of these. I should have now. I should have. Ooh. We're starting off strong. An American Story, one of my favorite picture books of 2023. I really think that this is going to be a good contender for the Caldecott this year. Dare Coulter did such an amazing job with this book. It is starting off when it's set in a classroom, how do you as a teacher engage in a conversation with your students about slavery, and the horrors and atrocities that were committed against Black people. How do you have that conversation, and how do you let your students know the truth about chattel slavery in a way that is accessible for them, First of all, I love Kwame Alexander. I've loved pretty much everything that he's done that I have read. And getting Dare Coulter to pair with Kwame was such a beautiful and wonderful idea. Definitely a great one. The artwork is superb. There's such a mix of art styles in this one. I think a lot of people enjoy it, but mark my words, this Caldecott or Caldecott honor, I don't see it not. I will be very shocked if it doesn't end up as a Caldecott honor. In Sestri, The Mystery and Majesty of Ancient Cave Art. I haven't read this one yet. Yes, I have seen it because I have selected this book, of course. Ancient Night, another one, but this is David Alvarez and David Bowles. You really can't go wrong with the two of them. So I will be picking this one up. It's a variation on Mesoamerica stories, which I absolutely think is wonderful. Before now, not gonna lie to y'all, it's not my personal interest in reading this one. Saw it when it came through, not anything that I naturally would pick up or be inclined to pick up. I wouldn't necessarily put this one as a best book. Big by Vashti Harrison. This is another one that I think is a Caldecott contender, y'all. Honestly, I don't see it not. I really don't. It's Vashti Harrison. If you don't know who Vashti Harrison is, get on it. She does amazing work. I would be surprised if this does not end up on the Caldecott list this year. Yes. I'm so glad that they put this one up here. Can we please give the police department to grandmothers? Y'all, you have to read. I'm gonna start doing a better job of tracking my picture book reads. I was supposed to do that this year. Did I do it? Absolutely not. But I'm really gonna do it, y'all. If you have not read this book, read it. Read it. The intergenerational aspects of this, like, really, it's just absolutely beautiful. I loved it. Pick it up. You gotta pick it up. This is another one. Wait, I can't remember. I don't know if Sydney Smith is from the US or not. The thing about the Caldecott is that you have to be, I know you have to be from US and US territories. I think territories are included in that, I think. I don't think Sydney Smith is from the US, but the artwork in this one also would make me feel like it would be a Caldecott. This is another like but it's like intergenerational, but like parent and child type of relationship dynamics. Eclipse, Andy Rash. I think our copy of this one just came in. This is perfect timing with so many conversations about eclipses and eclipses that have happened in the past. Like, I know that one has a big one for us in terms of like what we call informational picture books, which this one kind of, for me, I think can go either picture book or informational picture book. Like, it just depends on how you view it. Elena Rides, Juana Medina. Oh, okay, Publishers Weekly, you're doing right by my heart. Y'all. Oh, this is making me so happy. It's so nice to see like children's books represented in such a good way. This is a kind of like an early reader about an elephant that's trying to work on riding a bike. It's cute. I have this one on hold. I'm waiting for my copy, Evergreen by Matthew Cordell. Matthew has already won a Caldecott. I would not be surprised if Evergreen goes up for another Caldecott, because Cordell's artwork is, oh my goodness gracious. And I keep saying Caldecott, and y'all are probably like, Ashley, what are you talking about? So Caldecott is the word like best illustrations. And Evergreen probably will be a contender. Jumper is another one that I heard could possibly be a contender for a Caldecott. This is an informational picture book about the jumping spider, which I'm also on hold for this one. I don't even like looking at that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, because I have arachnophobia. But I'm willing to do it because I want to see, like, compared to like past Caldecott books that I have seen, I'm like, you know, trying to get a feel for like how they judge, which they don't really tell you. It's kind of like a closed door type of situation, so you never know, but sometimes you can get a feel for what they may consider. But I am on hold for that one. Mr. S. Oh. This one is supposed to be really cute. I've seen it. I haven't read it. I definitely will add this to my TBR of books to read. Oh, Panda. Not familiar with this one, to be honest with you. I'm not even sure what Cindy Derby got the Caldecott honor for, which is on me as a librarian. That's a shame, but I can't possibly know everything. Summer for Cousins, Rajani LaRocca, who I absolutely adore. Absolutely adore. She's run a Newbery honor for, what is the book that she wrote? Why do I not have that book near me? Red, White, and Whole, I believe, won a Newbery honor, and it is by Rajani LaRocca. So I haven't read this one yet, but I'm looking forward to picking it up. I forgot that book even came out, y'all. And the creme de la creme arrives. I was gonna be pissed if Publishers Weekly did not have this book on this list. There was a party for Langston, also one of my favorite picture books of the year. It's Jason Reynolds' debut picture book, and it is based off of a party that he reimagines this picture of it's Links and Hughes and Maya Angelou. He finds this picture of the two of them and reimagines like basically them at the celebration, and he captures different literary figures that have had just such a profound impact, Black literary figures that had such a profound impact on books as we know it. And let me tell you, working with the Humphrey brothers, freaking ingenious. Friggin' ingenious. Okay? Friggin' ingenious, because literally it's about a party, and the way that the Humphrey brothers illustrate the text that Reynolds gives, there's movement. It makes you kind of like want to move and like bop to a song that's not really ever playing, but it's just the way in which he wrote and the way that they illustrated it just works so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, Publishers Weekly, come through. I'm on hold for tomfoolery. This is about Randolph Caldecott, who the award is named after. And he is one of the first artists to illustrate children's books, right? That's about showing happiness instead of depression. And so this is supposed to be a biography of him, and I am on hold for it. I'm excited to read it, to learn more about Randolph Caldecott, because, you know, we talk about Caldecotts all the time, but here's the man behind the name. I'm on hold for this too. The Tree in a River by Aaron Becker. I have read other stuff by Aaron Becker, but Aaron Becker is very much so known for just the beautiful, which it looks like it's watercolor, could be a watercolor and acrylic, but Aaron Becker is known for their beautiful artwork. And so yes, I'm not surprised to see that up there. I'm on hold for that one, if I didn't already say it. The Truth About Max. I read a Times article about this one. Alice and Martin Provenzen, they both have passed at this time, but they started work with the little golden books that you see, the picture books that have like that gold spine that I think probably a handful of us have encountered in childhood. But this is one of their manuscripts that never got published. So I knew that this was coming out, but I haven't read it. I read it in the New York Times about it in their review section. A Walk in the Woods. So this is by Nikki Grimes, Jerry Pickney, and Brian Pickney. If you didn't know, Jerry Pickney passed away a couple years ago. Brian Pickney is his son. Jerry Pickney's work, and Brian's too, they have very distinctive art styles. Whenever I pick up a picture book, like, I can instantaneously know that it's Jerry or Brian, just because they just have such beautiful and distinctive styles that they use. This is a collaboration that was going to be between the three of them. Of course, Jerry Pickney has passed away, and the book itself is about a narrator grieving the death of his father. And so this one alone is emotional, because you have to understand that this publication, you know, Brian has lost his father. And so it's sad. It's sad, but it's also empowering and finding ways to grieve and remember those that we've lost. Whew. Oh, yes. I love this one too. When You Can Swim by Jack Wong. Jack Wong, like, really captured my soul with this book, because I love to swim. I always tell people when I'm in the water, I feel at peace. That is the time that I feel most peaceful, is in water. I feel very at one with water, which is a very interesting. I'm not a water sign, but I feel very at peace in water. It's very relaxing to me. And in this book, Jack Wong talks about what you can do, like what happens when you can swim. What do you experience? He, you know, had some interesting like back matter to this about his own experience learning how to swim. And he talks about different bodies of water that people can swim in. I love like the conservation aspect of it, where he talks about like, if you swim in nature, make sure you leave everything as it was before, like don't disturb nature. If you're swimming in like a pond, a lake, a river, or whatever the case may be. The artwork in this is absolutely gorgeous. I love this. I read this I think back in September. It was such a great picture book. All right, Publishers Weekly, come through. And this list could appear very, very good to me because this is where I shine in terms of content. And the other list could be like, because I don't read as much in those areas, but I read a lot in these areas, so that's why. Middle grade. I literally just read this for my graphic novel. I'm like literally smiling from ear to ear because this list is so good. Oh my gosh, I literally just read this, Beowulf. This was so good. This was a 5-star read for me. I loved it. This is another one. When I reviewed it, I said this would have been a good contender for Caldecott for the artwork alone. Okay, but they are not from the US, and so unfortunately they can't be contended. But Newbery, maybe, because the writing is like, if you've read Beowulf, okay, and you read Beowulf, the writing styles are very similar. The poetic, like the epic poem feel to it, the language, but it's so accessible. And I can't get past like how Zach did that. Like my mind still can't wrap my head around the fact, like I can't wrap my mind around the fact that I was reading these words that felt very like ancient, classical literature, epic poem, but yet I was like, but I understand everything that you're saying. And then that was my biggest fear, was when I was reading it, I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be accessible for a middle grade reader? And it is. Oh my gosh, it's such a great commentary on like childhood and never letting your inner child die, and why do we like lose so much of that when we become adults. This carefree spirit, don't want to just have fun, and you're not concerned about everything that's going into your mouth, and you just want to hang out with friends, have a good time. Like oh my gosh, like this last line, like childhood sensibilities. I wish that we were able to maintain that. So good, so good. Okay, take it too long. Chinese menu, I literally have on the kitchen shelf. I mean, on the kitchen counter, because my whole just came in for this. Graceland. So excited to read this. This is a nonfiction middle grade book that literally goes into the history, the myths, literally the history, myths, and legends of Chinese food. Like, we eat Chinese food so much as Americans and yet know nothing about it. And so, I'm so excited to read this. And I love Graceland. Oh my gosh, this list is so good. Okay, Duel, I'm excited to read this. I haven't read it yet. This is another graphic novel. I'm gonna start to go faster, y'all, because I'm taking a long time. The Eyes on the Impossible by Dave Eggers. I think that this one's going to be a Newbery contender. This is like, I believe that this is like it's a dog telling the story. I'm not a huge fan of like, this is interesting. I like books through the perspective of animals when it's fantasy or science fiction in middle grade. But I have trouble when it's more contemporary, and this one definitely has more contemporary feel to it. But interesting, like a lot of people have really, really enjoyed that one. Gone Wolf, started reading this one. Aaron McBride, amazing, amazing human. But this is like a futuristic, sci-fi is futuristic, where you have the main character who's living under this oppressive government, and it's told, it's dual, so it's 2111 and 2022, and it's kind of this mix of commentary on, I think it almost feels like it's a COVID book, can't tell just yet, feels like it's a COVID book, and then also commentary on yeah, racism in America. Of course. Jawbreaker, seen this one, I remember ordering this one, haven't read it yet at all. Mexikid, I literally have this one in my book bag. I have a colleague of mine who read this and really, really, really loved it. This is a graphic novel, graphic memoir set in 1970s Mexico. The artwork in this, I flipped through it, very, very good. So excited to pick it up. It's chunky though. It's chunky, but I'm excited to pick it up. This is also one that I think has, at least I think that this one may get, I forget the name of the nonfiction award. The Mona Lisa Vanishes, a legendary painter, Second Heist, and the Birth of a Global Celebrity. This is formatted in such a very accessible way in terms of nonfiction, and it talks about the person who stole the Mona Lisa, which I think is really, really fascinating. But I flipped through this one and it looked really, really good. I really do believe that this one is going to be contender for the nonfiction award, which I wish I remember what the youth nonfiction award is, and I think that this one is definitely gonna get that award. The Probability of Everything. This is not one that I have read, seen it. I ordered this one. It feels like it has like a sci-fi feel to it because it's about the Earth's destruction, and a young girl's attempt to kind of like save the memory of her community. Wow, this is one that I'm not familiar with. The Other Words. I've never seen this one. Make a note of this one because I've never seen this one. It's about a non-binary 12-year-old who attempts to avoid the otherworldly in this emotional, complex portal fantasy. Okay. Jacqueline Woodson, Remember Us. Of course. That I'm not surprised that she'd be up there, as she should. Shira and Esther's Double Dream debut. I don't think I've seen this one either. It's about two Jewish tweens who trade places for a shot at pursuing their ambitions. In a 3-act telling of found family. I don't think I've seen that one. This one I think is going to be a Caldecott contender too. Simon Sorter Says. It, I heard, is really, really good. It is about a tween who is navigating the after effects of a school shooting. Which unfortunately is, I've been seeing more books that do highlight the effects and the experiences of being a part of school shootings. Oh yeah, it's unfortunate. The Story of Gumluck the Wizard. Adam Rex. I'm very familiar with Adam Rex's work. I don't think that we got this one for our library. It's literally about a wizard trying to be helpful. The Swifts. This one started getting a lot of traction at my library. It is a middle grade mystery, and it's comped as, I think, like Lemony Snicket meets Knives Out, I think. Something like that. It's weird. But yeah, that's another one. Okay, that's the end of middle grade. Let's hurry up and make it through young adult, y'all. And I've been taking y'all so long. Okay, America Redux. This is a nonfiction teen book about American history. Blood Debts, Terry J. Benton Walker. Of course, I think everyone is familiar with that one. We have The Blood Years, Elena K. Arnold, definitely known for hard-hitting books. This is a historical fiction that takes place during World War II. A Door in the Dark. This is sci-fi, I think. I think Scott is known for doing mainly sci-fi. Not really, it's either sci-fi or fantasy, but I feel like it's more sci-fi because it's coming from Scott, but I could definitely be wrong for that. I'm not interested in that one, not gonna lie to you. Just finished Family Style. It was 4.5 stars for me. Chef's kiss. Really like this one. This is about the author's experience coming from Vietnam to America and dealing with the cultural differences as a child, and then becoming so Americanized that he loses his Vietnamese roots. Very, very interesting. Really like that one. From here, I am not familiar with this one, but this is about a main character trying to reconcile her identity as a gay Arab Muslim woman. Houses with a Story. Yes, I've seen this one. Nonfiction. Definitely, like, if you're into architecture, this is one that you would enjoy. Invisible Sun. I read Kim Johnson's This Is My America. Remember, this one came out. I didn't pick it up right away, but it is one that I do want to read. It is set in 2020, and I think that's why for a little while I was avoiding COVID heavy books, and this one does take place during the pandemic, and so, or right before like everybody really shut down. So there's that. The Isle of the Gods, Amy Kaufman. I'm not an Amy Kaufman person, but I know that a lot of people were looking forward to reading that one. The King is Dead. I was on hold for this one and my hold lapsed and I never put it back on hold. But it is a closeted 17-year-old who becomes the UK's first black monarch. Child, that can go left or right. Mascot. I'm on hold for this one. Love Charles Waters. Love Tracy Sorrell. A lot of the Native American books that I have read are by Tracy Sorrell. And this one looks at how America loves to use mascots that are culturally insensitive to Native and Indigenous communities. I'm on hold for this one because this one just came out last month, I believe. And that is The Queer Girl Is Going to Be Okay. Listen, the cover alone was just like, love it. But this focuses on queer platonic love. Like, I absolutely love that it does. Spin. This was definitely huge when it came out. This kind of follows that wave of kind of like Greek and Roman retelling mythology books that are happening like for adults right now. Spin is about Arachne's mythos. With Stalks Among Us, I'm on hold for this one as well. This is I think that this is I want to say like this is a horror, but I wonder if it also has some sci-fi feels to it. Two queer teens find themselves trapped in a corn maze. My worst nightmare. If you've ever seen Children of the Corn, you would understand why. Where You See Yourself. This is about a teen who has cerebral palsy and has to deal with some ableist school administrators, and that is it. That is it. They did a good job. You know what? I give them that. They did a daggone good job. Okay, Publishers Weekly. Now y'all would probably have to give me a little bit more, you know, feel for the other categories, but I could tell you for picture books, middle grade, and young adult, not bad. I think young adult could have came a little bit harder. There were some great titles that I think that they did not showcase, but the middle grade and picture books, very good. Very good. I like the combination of nonfiction, graphic novel, and all for, especially for those three categories. Yeah. Okay, this is a list that I'm sad, and you know, a lot of my reactions to these lists are very subjective because I can feel so confident about a list because I know a lot about what's on the list. I can feel less confident about a list where I'm like, oh, I'm not really even familiar about this. So this is very subjective. This is all in fun and games, like, but I think that at least for the areas that I'm most familiar with, they did okay. They did okay. You know, great balance in my opinion. I think this is one that has a great balance. Y'all let me know how you feel about this one in the list down below. I love that this one covered a lot more categories than I typically see in lists. But that's because Publisher Weekly reviews all of these materials, so they would have better insight to choosing these. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this one and if you enjoyed it. Yeah. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. And I will be back with another video soon. Bye. I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down.